Are you a consultant who produces OT asset inventories for customers? I'm Ralph Langner, and I'll show you how you can finish your projects faster and more efficiently using the OT-based asset management platform. More and more asset owners realize that they have totally lost track of their OT asset inventories, but they rarely have the capacity and the nerve to fix the problem on their own. Therefore, an outsourcing business opportunity emerges. However, it is difficult to make money if you're doing it the old-fashioned way, driving from site to site, walking from cabinet to cabinet, collecting inventory data manually and then storing it in Excel. In this video, I'll show you how the OT-based asset management platform can dramatically boost your project performance. But before we go into technical details, the important business angle here is that now you can use OT-based Asset Center in the cloud, meaning that you only have to pay for it for the duration of your project. Here is how the whole process looks conceptually. First, you download the OT-based asset discovery software from our website and install it either on your laptop that you take to your customer, or you can also install it on the customer's machines. After configuring asset discovery for the various probing options in respect to protocols, credentials, etc., you do the probing and then you export the configuration data as encrypted files to your personal OT-based Asset Center instance in the cloud. There you can do any necessary consolidations, add metadata and so on, and export the consolidated results either as an Excel file or as portable inventory data. Portable inventory data is a data format that is based on JSON, and you can post-process that data using report generators as an example, but you can also import it back to OT-based Asset Center at a later time. So for example, when your customer wants to give the data another look and when they want to do further analytics and spot any differences in respect to configuration changes. For downloading the OT-based asset discovery software, go to our website langner.com and then in the downloads area, click on OT-based asset discovery evaluation. There you can download an evaluation version of OT-based asset discovery and start experimenting right away. The limitation of that version is that it only runs for 90 days. However, after you have signed up for the OT-based cloud product, you will receive a version of the software that does not have this time limitation. Once that you have installed and started OT-based asset discovery, the major thing that you need to do is to configure the network settings. And this is done individually for each network that you can reach. Those networks can be the networks that your computer is directly attached to, but it can also be remote networks because Asset Discovery does support routing. So for example, if you want to add a remote network, you just click the button down there and specify the network address. Anyhow, let's get back to the probing configuration for an individual network. So what you need to do is for all of the protocols that are supported by OT-based asset discovery, you need to check if the parameters are correct. This is quite simple for protocols such as ARP and ICMP. You don't need to configure much here. Maybe what you want to do is to limit the rate of the packets. As you can see here, there is a default packet speed of 10,000 packets per second. You may want to limit that down if you're concerned about the bandwidth of the process network that you're probing. Then if the computer is attached to a local network, as in this case, we don't need ICMP, so we can disable that. For SNMP, you might want to or need to specify different community strings. This is the default, this is public. You may also want to use different or specific version of SNMP. You can all configure that here. And for WMI, you will definitely, if you use it, need to specify credentials for accessing all those Windows boxes in order to download their software configurations. Same thing for SSH, which is used to enumerate the software configuration of Unix and Linux boxes. Profinet, you just enable or disable that depending on whether there are Profinet devices in the network you are probing. Siemens S7 is for, as the name suggests, the proprietary Siemens product line. Modbus is for Modbus devices, not much to configure here. And lastly, Ethernet IP is for everything in the Rockwell area, and also any other protocol that uses the standardized Ethernet IP protocol. And by the way, OT-based asset discovery does support SIP routing, so it will definitely detect any remote networks behind your controllers. That's about it. So what you're going to do is you save the configuration, and then if you haven't already done so, you simply click on Probe. Now, if you want to, you can watch live how that probing process is progressing. However, you can also simply leave the computer and come back, let's just say 30 minutes or an hour later, depending on the size of the network, because you will see the probing results in that table that you're looking at. You can check that the probing has finished by looking at this counter down here, the number of running tasks. If it has gone back to 0, the probing is done. And you can see results in this table right here, and you can do that for any of the associated networks. So the good thing is that you can use these result tables already to check if the parameters might probably need to be changed for a couple of devices. As you can see here, there are a couple of error messages, and those error messages would allow you to fine-tune the configuration. But let's just look at some examples where you can assess the results. So once that you have selected a given entry in the table, you see the details here in this right pane, and you can browse through the various areas. So for example, you can see the discovered hardware modules of that particular Rockwell PLC. Let's just check another one. Let's look at this Windows PC and look at the software. Whole bunch of installed software there that was automatically discovered by Asset Discovery. Now we are almost ready to export the discovery data and then import it to our OT-based asset center in the cloud. The final step before we do that is that we configure a name for the asset discovery node by calling the configuration menu with the general settings. And here is where you set the asset discovery name. Now this is important because this name will be used when OT-based generates IDs for all the devices that it has discovered. And by using that name as a base for the IDs that are generated, you will be able to identify and associate those devices with the asset discovery engine that had been used to discover the devices. And that is a big help when keeping track of where all the asset discovery results come from. So we have already set the name KWR-10, that's good. So you're good to go to export the file to local disk. And we just click on Save. And then we're done with our local PC. After logging on to OT-based Asset Center in the cloud, check the Import area in the inventory. And then in the Import Asset Data section, pick the first entry, OT-based Asset Discovery file. Then you click on Choose File. Pick the discovery file that you have just exported from Asset Discovery. And then click on Import. And certainly you can repeat that process as often as you want, especially when you're using multiple OT-based Asset Discovery engines. After the import has completed, you can go to Devices. In order to locate the devices that you have just imported, you can use the filter feature that you see up here. So for every single column in the inventory, you can enter a filter, and we simply input the name, the node name of the asset discovery node, which was KWR-10. -10, because that was used to automatically create the device IDs. So as a result, you get this filtered list where all the devices are now listed that we have just imported. In real life, you would probably now add a couple of metadata, you would probably add descriptions or process associations and so on. But in our example, we skip this process and immediately go to creating the deliverables. So we start with simply exporting that list to Excel. In order to do that, we just need to click Excel export here, and this will result in creating an Excel spreadsheet that holds all the devices that you see in the output list. So let's do that. And there is our spreadsheet. We don't see much here in the context area, but when I scroll over here, you see all the device details. One thing that gives you much more value than an Excel spreadsheet is to export the result data as a portable inventory data file. And you can do that by using the same output list and then clicking on JSON export. Now that will result in a JSON file being downloaded to your local computer. And we'll now open this file in an editor that is capable of understanding the JSON format. And this is what it looks like in our editor. And at first you might think, well, that's not as convenient as Excel, but you would be very much mistaken. The difference is that this resulting JSON file holds all the relationships between the various asset inventory items. With OT-based cloud, doing OT asset inventories as a service has become easier than ever before. To learn more about OT-base, check out langner.com/ot-base and also check out the other videos on our YouTube channel.